excited to be in game week, deep into game week. Today's working Wednesday of the next opponent, even though it might seem as though we just finished playing. The game on Saturday was, tough because we can see how close these games are. We can see how good we've become, and there's still been a few moments that have created losing, that prevent winning. A few plays here and there. It's literally down to that. So it's not a complacent attitude for sure. It's not a excited attitude either about where we're at. That's not it. I don't want to be misinterpreted. But there's a lot of encouraging things. The team has gotten better every week in all three phases. For some reason, really, in all four games, we have a few explosive plays in the passing game. That's not characteristic of how we play. That have been, made the games harder than they need to be. And then we've had some turnovers that have resulted in uncontested touchdowns, and that can't happen. So, and you're going to turn the football over. We'd like to not, but it's going to happen at different times. Obviously, it needs to be very low to be a good to great team. But they don't need to turn into scores. So we've had now 3 uncontested turnovers for scores. So if it's an anomaly, it needs to end. And if it's not an anomaly and it can be coached, it needs to be coached and end. So, because when those things happen in a game, you're not going to win. So, especially against, fine quality and competition. But we have bright spots in all 3 phases that we're excited about. And we're getting better. And we're excited to get back at it this week with a great challenge and a very exciting challenge. So the guys came back to work. I don't mind saying it here. I said it to the team. I asked the day after the game. So are we sad? Is that the emotion? Is that the energy? Or are we resolute? Maybe even, dare I say, peed a little bit, that more of that kind of energy rather than downtrodden. And no one is. Everybody's just resolute, angry, angry, resolute, determined, seeing what we can be. And not trying to think back to what we should be or chances that got away. You can wallow in that. But really moving forward with a great energy of correcting our mistakes and resolute and determined to not having them repeat. And that's what we're working towards. Questions?
Do you see any difference in a short week when the team comes off of a loss instead of a win? Because it's off of a loss, are they more focused usually, or does it not matter either way, whatever you come off?
I honestly haven't found that with this team. I think every team's probably different from year to year, but I haven't found that with this team. They seem to come to work ready to learn every day. Energized by this group of guys. They come to work ready to learn.
You mentioned some of the improvements. Can you point to a couple?
Yeah, absolutely. We ran a ton of plays, so that was much improved. Had way more first downs. Time of possession was almost 39 minutes on the game. So we possessed the ball, we possessed the field, we managed the field, and in a lot of instances had control of the game. Really did. On a play and down by down basis, had control of the game. We were playing the game that we wanted to play. The coverage teams were better. The kick coverage team and the punt coverage team were both improved in terms of guys getting out and not being on body and being down there to have the returner corralled. That's an area that's improved. The defensive overall fits with perimeter controls and perimeter passing controls, I thought were really well done. Communication, there was very few errors considering how fast they went, how fast they were going. Very challenging circumstance. Really didn't pose much of a challenge that way to our group systematically. They were locked in, communicating, and that's an improvement. So in all three phases there, you can see some improvement.
Coach,
Talk
is
about
that
improvement. You talk about Tyler Davis, not just with the fake passes, but also it's becoming more of a factor in the passing game. That diving catch, setting up the touchdown with him is huge.
Yeah, he's coming on. He's still a liability blocking. That's going to be the final thing to come. He's willing. He's a willing blocker. He just doesn't really. He has never really learned the fundamental techniques to striking. So he's a talented player. He's got strong hands. He's a big player. He's a good size, speed guy. Those have all been traits that have always been present. So he's got a deep understanding of the offense. He'll continue to be more and more productive, not necessarily based on his own work and all that. He's a very talented player. He needs to work on his blocking, and I think the ball will continue to go to him more and more.
Coach, the team being angry, is that something learned from you? Is that your philosophy, or?
And again, I'm using, you're looking for sound bites. I'm not sure angry. I'm just saying resolute, determined, trying to say something other than downtrodden and depressed and demoralized. This team is not that. And I think we all collectively create kind of a heartbeat together. So it's not necessarily just me imposing, my will onto the group. That's not the case. This is a tough-minded group. This is a group that believes. This is a group that's together. This is a group that there's great clarity. We're getting strong leadership from this group, in particular the seniors, and they showed up to work with that type of mentality. Nobody was happy, no way, but nobody was really just down and out and kind of feeling defeated. It was more of an angry kind of like resolute. Like I said, peed a little bit, without sounding, I'm sure if I can censor it, being pissed, So if that was not an appropriate word, I apologize, just delete it. So, but that's kind of what they were,
Houston standpoint, they're obviously going to be extremely revengeful, whatever the characterization you want to use, anxious to beat you guys. Is there anything you do on the other side when you see that coming?
That's very, and I don't want to demean it or I don't want to put it down, but that's very interesting talk. It's great banter to see people talk about and read about. It has no use in the game. Zero. It might last if it's really, really dynamic. If it's really, really electric. If it's really, really passionately put out there and hammered home. It might last a minute and a half. That's it. The players play. They do their jobs. They execute. You play with a particular effort and energy during the play, and you win the down, or you lose the down. And that's what creates winning and losing. It's not an overall beginning week-long mentality. The one thing that I would say about college football that makes it the greatest game on the planet is when those plays are made, momentum swings. So in-game energy in spurts from on-the-field production has some lasting. Not only does it flip the field or create points or those things that alter the scoreboard, but they can create a momentum swing that has some real stick-to-itiveness in the game. But the game week propaganda, I haven't seen it be useful at all. And then more often than not, it's probably more detrimental than helpful.
Bob, how are they different offensively than a year ago when you saw them?
They're not. It's the same offense that we faced a year ago. We just, I think their next man in quarterback is a talented player, Postma. But Greg Ward Jr. is one of the most electric players in America at his position. So that makes things different.
How difficult is he because of his ability to run the football as well?
Yeah, you know what's interesting is there's a lot of banter about how talented he is running, which is true. He runs like a great back, or a great slot, which is what he was a wide receiver before he became the quarterback. And it looks to me like they're kind of grooming the next man in there in the same way. Plays wide receiver, returns kicks, and he'll probably eventually be the quarterback. And he's an electric player as a young guy, freshman. But the quarterback, he really quarterbacks the team. I mean, he's got pocket presence. He's back there. He's not antsy. He's waiting. He delivers the ball down the field. He's utilizing some movement in the pocket just to create some time and space to deliver the ball down the field. It's not like if he's on the move scrambling, he's just scrambling to run. He scrambles and delivers the ball down the field. He's an accurate passer. He puts their offense into good plays. He's got high football intelligence per coverage and where to go with the football. I mean, he's really quarterbacking the team. He's not to put him in a box and say that just to speak to his athleticism and speed and quickness is not fair to him. He's better than that. He's really he's one of the real premier quarterbacks right now, 2016.
Bob, with a short work week, what are some things that have to be eliminated from preparation or done more quickly by you and your staff?
Healing, physical healing was one. We played and then we had practice, padded practice the next day. So that was a little bit more challenging for some guys that got a lot of work. They all responded to it very well. You might, which is probably a good thing, might spend a little less time as a staff in the lab, trying to cook up a new fang-dangled experiment and rely on more of the nuts and bolts of what you do or what you did well last week. There is some carryover, which is kind of neat, as it relates to preparation. So that's positive. So I'm not so sure there's just a big group of things we can't do. We just need to be careful with our time and be very efficient and use it wisely.
Do you have an idea who might be your left guard this week, or is that kind of day?
You know what? It's day to day, and that's not coy. I honestly, we need to go to the field today, which you'll have an opportunity to do, and see how those guys are functioning. They're all cleared. They're all cleared. They'll all be up there. And to the extent that they all work, we're going to actually see ourselves.
Obviously, there are places.
I'm sorry, but not Oak. Oak. Yeah. Oak is out. Ocean and Connor. Oak and Connor are we'll see in the spring. The rest of everyone is day to day. Sorry.
No, obviously there are plays designed for Bryant to run, but you think would he benefit from just kind of maybe watching some film on Ward on the difference between they break it down and take it off right away, or how Ward will try and buy time, but still look to hit someone.
I don't think there's anything wrong with anyone studying high-level production and performance at any time. So whether you have a chance to watch Tom Brady operate, or you have a chance to watch, old film of, Joe Theismann. I mean, there's a lot of opportunities to watch some of the greats at your position operate, and I can't imagine why that would ever be a bad thing. As long as you're not forcing some parameter onto what your natural gifts. I'm not disappointed in any way with Brian. He made some real plays with his legs and did some really nice things for our team, and has done that for our team for the last 4 weeks.
Bob, are you surprised by the kind of inconsistency at times in the defense where you play really well and yet there's been 4 drives of 90 yards or more this year?
What's surprising is the passing. It's not happening. It's isolated in one spot. This team, they've done a fine job with their block destruction. They are a very sound fit assignment group. We don't have assignment errors. We don't have mental errors in our fits. We don't have alignment errors. We don't have communication errors. We don't lack effort. We can block, destruct, and tackle. There's not a tackling issue. Not that you're going to make all the tackles, but you've watched teams play, and they're either poor tackling defense or a good tackling defense or a great tackling defense. Our defense understands tackling, or willing tacklers. This is some explosive play passes, and that have either kept drives alive or just flat out changed games. So, and it's really isolated down to a few plays, honestly. So it was a big difference in the Navy game and a big difference in the Syracuse game.
What's challenging about their defense? I'm just watching television cursory review, they seem very fast. It's obviously a challenge. What stands out to you?
Yeah, they're well coached, athletic, physical group. They play with great effort, really sound, well coached. The coaching staff has done a great job overall with the team, and then specifically on defense. So they play hard. They have talented players that play hard, and they know what they're doing.